Mia was a dreamer with big aspirations but little more than ambition to guide her. She lived in a small town, working part-time at a cafe, and every day felt like time slipping away. Surrounded by people seemingly living perfect lives, Mia felt stuck. She had many ideas but no clear path forward, no money, connections, or experience to make them a reality. Her dreams weighed heavily on her heart, and she often wondered if she was destined to be just another face in the crowd. One afternoon, after another long day, Mia sat on a park bench outside the cafe, feeling utterly trapped. As she watched the world go by, a stranger sat beside her. He was an older man, simple in appearance but with kind, wise eyes. They sat in silence for a while, and then the man spoke. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world," he said gently. Mia sighed, sharing her frustration. "I have these big dreams, but I don't know how to make them happen. It feels like no matter what I do, I just can't get ahead." The man smiled knowingly. "Success doesn't always come from force or having all the right tools. Sometimes it's about thinking smarter, not harder." Mia was confused. "What do you mean?" He chuckled and leaned in. "You're focused on what you don't have, the money, connections, and experience. But often, the best solutions come from using what you already have. Smart thinking, my dear, is what separates those who make it from those who don't." For the first time, Mia felt a spark of hope. Could it really be that simple? She had always been taught to work hard and push through, but now this stranger was suggesting a new perspective. His words planted a seed in her mind. Maybe the key to her dreams wasn't in forcing progress, but in thinking differently. As the man walked away, Mia felt a shift. Maybe the road to her dreams wasn't about constantly pushing against barriers. Perhaps it was about seeing opportunities where others saw obstacles. She didn't have all the answers, and the path ahead was still unclear, but for the first time, Mia felt a glimmer of possibility. She realized that achieving her dreams would take time, patience, and smart thinking. But that was a start she had longed for. Mia woke up the next morning with a sense of clarity she hadn't felt in a long time. The words of the old man, "Smart thinking, not brute force," echoed in her mind. For so long she had believed that success was about pushing through, working harder, and overcoming obstacles with sheer determination. But his words planted a new idea. Maybe it wasn't about hard work alone, but about how she approached the work. Determined to understand more, Mia returned to the park that evening. She found herself sitting on the same bench, lost in thought, when the old man appeared again. He was sitting quietly, reading a small book. Mia hesitated, but then approached him curious. "Excuse me," she said. "You mentioned something about smart thinking and success, and I've been thinking about it ever since." The man looked up and smiled. "Ah, yes, it's not easy to shift your thinking, but it can change everything." Mia sat beside him. "I've always worked hard, but things never seem to move forward. How can I make it work without the resources or advantages others have?" The man closed his book, his eyes thoughtful. "Let me tell you something. When I was young, I had big dreams too, but I didn't have money or anyone to help me. I worked hard, just like you, but it wasn't until I learned to think differently that things changed." Mia leaned in. "What do you mean by thinking differently?" He smiled. "Success isn't about pushing harder. It's about outsmarting the challenges. Sometimes it's about finding a smarter way around the obstacle instead of fighting against it." He gestured to the bench. "If you tried to lift this bench with your hands, you'd struggle. But if you thought about it differently, maybe by disassembling it or using leverage, it becomes much easier. Life's the same. It's not brute force. It's about finding the smart way." Mia's mind began to race. She had always thought success was about effort, sacrifice, and perseverance. But what if there was more to it? What if success wasn't about working harder but working smarter? "Are you saying that instead of pushing through, I should step back and think of a better way?" she asked. "Exactly," he said. "Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is step back, reassess, and look for solutions you hadn't considered before." Mia felt a shift inside her. She realized that the key to her success wasn't just working harder, but using her creativity and strategy. The old man smiled, sensing her realization. Life isn't a race. It's a puzzle. The ones who succeed are those who step back and see the bigger picture. Mia sat in silence, processing his words. She realized that the next step in her journey wasn't to try harder, but to think smarter. Her challenges were still there, but now she had a new approach, to find solutions where she hadn't looked before. As the sun set, Mia stood up, feeling a sense of calm. The road ahead was still unclear, but now she understood. Success wasn't just about effort, it was about strategy. Thanking the old man, she walked away with a renewed sense of purpose, ready to approach her struggles with a clever mindset. Mia spent the next few days reflecting on the old man's words. The idea of thinking smarter instead of harder had sparked something in her, but it hadn't yet ignited a fire. She still felt overwhelmed, trapped in the same cycle of frustration. Yet, something about his message kept tugging at her. Perhaps the key wasn't just working harder, but changing how she viewed her challenges. One evening, after a long day at the cafe, Mia sat at her kitchen table, staring out the window at the setting sun. She noticed how the golden light cast long shadows, how the sky's shifting colors made everything look different. She realized then that this was exactly what she needed to do, shift her perspective. In that quiet moment, Mia understood the power of perspective. What if the problems she faced weren't roadblocks, but opportunities to think differently? What if each obstacle wasn't a sign of failure, but a chance to approach things in a new way? She had always seen challenges as barriers to overcome with willpower, but now she wondered if they were puzzles to solve. The next morning, Mia faced her first challenge of the day. She had been trying to launch a small online business, but the website was clunky and the traffic was minimal. After hours of frustration, the temptation to give up set in. But instead of quitting, she remembered the lesson she'd learned. What if she was looking at the problem all wrong? Mia stepped back from the computer and closed her eyes. She asked herself, what is the real issue here? She realized that the problem wasn't the website design itself, but how it was reaching potential customers. She had been so focused on making the site perfect that she hadn't considered how to get people to visit it. Her mindset shifted from frustration to creativity. Instead of obsessing over the site's details, she thought about her customers. What could she offer to make them curious enough to visit? She realized that her focus should be on connecting with her audience. Mia reimagined her approach. Rather than perfecting the website, she created content that would engage her target audience. She wrote blog posts with tips that related to her business, shared her personal story, and explained why she started the business. She used social media to connect with potential customers. Within a week, Mia saw results. Traffic to her site increased, and people engaged with her content. They commented, shared posts, and signed up for her email list. Mia couldn't believe how quickly things were changing. By shifting her perspective, she had transformed her approach, focusing on connection instead of perfection. Mia's breakthrough didn't come from working harder, but from changing how she approached her challenges. By shifting her mindset, she discovered creative solutions she had previously overlooked. Each challenge became an opportunity to think critically and apply new strategies. From then on, Mia understood that success wasn't about avoiding problems, but reframing them as opportunities for growth and creativity. With this new mindset, she knew she could face any challenge, confident in her ability to find solutions. As Mia's business grew, new challenges emerged that made her question whether the success she was building was worth the price. Her days were long and nights were sleepless, spent tweaking her website and responding to emails. Each success was followed by a new hurdle, and the weight of it all started to overwhelm her. One evening, after another exhausting day, Mia sat at her kitchen table, staring at her computer screen. Her inbox was flooded, her to-do list doubled, and the pressure to maintain momentum began affecting her personal life. She hadn't seen her family in weeks, and her friends had stopped calling. Even her health was suffering. She was constantly tired, skipping meals, and losing interest in things that once brought her joy. A reminder popped up on her screen about her sister's upcoming birthday. Mia hadn't even thought about it. She had been so consumed by her business that she had lost sight of what mattered most: her family. Mia paused, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. She had promised her sister years ago that she would always be there for her. The thought of stepping away from work, even for a day, felt like a betrayal to the progress she had made. But Mia knew that success wasn't just about growing a business. It was about balance, something she hadn't yet learned to maintain. The decision weighed heavily on her. Success wasn't only about hitting milestones, but about the choices she made along the way, the compromises, and the sacrifices. The next morning, Mia reevaluated everything. The path to success had required more than just her time. It had drained her attention, energy, and relationships. She knew that if she didn't change her approach, she'd lose everything that truly mattered. Mia made the tough decision to take a break and attend her sister's birthday, reconnecting with her family and reminding herself of the life she was working to build. During the weekend, Mia realized that success wasn't about endlessly pushing forward. True success was about creating a fulfilling life, balancing work with relationships, health, and happiness. After the trip, Mia returned to her business with a new perspective. She was still committed, but now understood that true success required making strategic compromises. She began delegating tasks, trusting others to help, and setting clear boundaries between work and personal time. By making smarter choices about how she spent her time and energy, Mia could sustain her business while nurturing the relationships that mattered. In the following weeks, Mia's business flourished, but so did her relationships. By choosing balance, she found fulfillment. She learned that success wasn't measured in hours worked or sacrifices made, but in the willingness to adapt, make compromises, and be patient with her journey. Mia now understood that success was a continuous process, requiring patience, persistence, and wisdom to know when to push forward and when to step back. In finding that delicate balance, she discovered the true value of success. Mia's business had grown far beyond the early struggles. What started as a small, uncertain venture had evolved into something much bigger than she ever imagined. Customers were now not only buying her products, but also sharing their experiences, spreading the word. The website that once frustrated her had become a platform for connection, where people engaged with her story. Mia had begun as an underdog, unsure of her path, but now she was a successful entrepreneur with a reputation for innovation and smart thinking. However, Mia realized that success wasn't something to take for granted. It wasn't a one-time achievement. It was a continuous journey that required learning and adapting. With every success came new challenges, and Mia knew that the key to navigating them was the mindset she had developed: critical thinking, adaptability, and creativity. As she looked out the window of her small office, Mia reflected on her progress. Her small team had become integral to her operation, each person contributing unique skills. She had learned to delegate, trust others, and value their input. The idea of doing everything herself had faded, replaced by the understanding that success was a collective effort. Collaboration was essential for growth. Beyond business logistics, Mia had changed personally. The stress and burnout that once clouded her days were replaced with purpose and balance. She had learned to prioritize her health, relationships, and personal growth. The lessons in smart thinking, compromise, and strategic planning were woven into her life. It was no longer just about business. It was about creating a life that worked on all fronts. Now Mia understood that the future held both opportunities and challenges, but she was no longer afraid. Success wasn't a final destination, but a continuous process of growth. With each new challenge, she would apply the skills she had developed, critical thinking, patience, and embracing new perspectives to keep moving forward. In the months that followed, Mia began to think bigger. She wanted her business to inspire others to take risks and pursue their dreams with passion and determination. She started mentoring young entrepreneurs, sharing her lessons on perseverance, innovation, and smart thinking. Her reputation as a visionary who combined practicality and creativity grew, and people sought her out for guidance. Mia learned that success wasn't about avoiding mistakes or finding shortcuts. It was about embracing the process, understanding that every step, no matter how small or uncertain, was part of the bigger picture. She was ready for the future, armed with the mindset that had propelled her this far. The future wasn't daunting. It was a canvas waiting to be shaped by her innovation and persistence. With a deep breath, Mia opened her laptop to brainstorm new ideas. She knew the journey ahead would require the same principles that brought her here: innovation, persistence, and smart thinking. The future, she realized, was full of new opportunities, and she was more than ready for them.